Hi guys, it's me, Sunny, and you're watching Sunny Preps. And you're here in my basement storage again because I want to show you some of the containers I use and tell you why I'm using them, and just being down here organizing is part of my 2020 goals. Sorry, 20 goals for 2020. So I think I probably do it a little bit different than some people, so maybe this will work for you. Maybe you'll think it's not something you really need to worry about. But come on and let's check it out. Okay, first of all, I have no idea why the walls down here are this yellow color. I mean, I'm near Pittsburgh, so it's Steeler country. I don't know if they thought they were painting it a Steeler color down here. This room is actually a cold cellar, and it is freezing in here, so that's good for the storage. So I have some Ogson Farm just up there, some alcohol for barter. It's nothing I can drink. And these cupboards were already here. I didn't even paint them. I cleaned them up a little bit. I may have painted some inside, but not much. So these were already here, and I had them completely full. But now I have moved some stuff out into these shelves and another set of shelves here. And I will fill this cupboard back up, don't worry. So what I do, if you can see that a lot of my preps are in these totes. Now this is because this is not my permanent home. I may be here for a couple more years, I'm not sure, but I will be moving. And since these are preps for long-term storage, they'll be moving with me probably. You know, I'll eat up some of the food before I move. That'll make that easier, but a lot of these long-term things will be moving with me. So it's easier to go ahead and have them boxed up, and I can just carry them out. Now the other thing is, if the situation in this neighborhood gets bad, you know, we don't really have wildfires around here, but if there's a wildfire or if there's civil unrest, because we're pretty close to the city, if there's any reason I feel I need to leave this neighborhood, you know, landslides are actually more common around here than wildfires. So if there's any reason I need to leave here, I can grab these totes fairly quickly and throw them in the back of my SUV and hit the road. Okay. The other thing is I can organize the foods to be all together. You can see this is canned meats. Now this tote is actually too large for canned things like that. It's going to be too heavy. If I had that filled with canned meats, I could not lift it probably. But here I've got fire starter, shelter, water filters, all the kinds of things you would need to just set up camp or household somewhere. Here we've got the dried nuts, trail mix, and dried fruits. Yeah, these are raisins. So you can see through them, and I have a note of what's on here. This one's kind of just jumbled in there together because it's not full. But here we have, you know, ramen noodles, seasoning mixes, dry soup mixes, bouillon, things like that. Okay, this is the container I have my ramen noodles and dry soup mixes and things like that in. And you can see there are latch handles on all, well, there's 4 of them on this one. So that makes a good tight seal. That lid, some of them where the handle is just on each end, and I have some of those. It's not a good tight seal. The other thing is that this lid has weather stripping in here. So this is called a weather tight seal. The actual brand name of this is Weather Tight, I believe. I got these from Home Depot online. If you go to the actual Home Depot store, you might have a hard time finding it, but the Home Depot online, Weather Tight. And I'm going to check on the prices because it might not be that much more than just the regular totes like this that only snap on each end. This one I think I just got at a Dollar General, and it was $7.50. We interrupt this program for a special service announcement. When I started looking up the prices on these, they have gone up insanely. So here is a pack of 6 that you can get at Home Depot for $100. Walmart had them cheaper, a couple dollars cheaper, but they were out of stock. So that's more than I paid for them. So I went around and started looking, and I found these at Target.com. They're not available in the store. These are the Ziploc. They're only 2 quarts smaller, but if you get them in a pack of 4, you'll notice they're about $10.25 each. If you'll notice, color is where they choose to put the package size. Here it's 4 packs, and in the picture you can clearly see that there are 4 totes and 4 lids, and so they're about $10.25. If you change the color to 1 piece, the picture clearly still has 1 tote and 1 lid, so it's a 2-piece, but 1 single tote. And it's $18, almost double the price to get 1 tote. So it's up to you. I know I don't need all of my containers to be weather tight, but I want some of them. So these packages are not very well protected from rodents, which I don't have a problem with here, but you never know. You don't want to attract them, because as soon as I open this lid, I could definitely smell the spices. And so you know that these packages are not airtight, and they're probably not, even if there was moisture in the air, they're going to get in there and help those things go stale quickly. So the other thing I do when I have food like this in one of these airtight or weather tight containers is I put one of my homemade silica packs in. This is just a coffee filter and cat litter that is 100% silica gel. That's actually harder to find apparently than it used to be, or at least where I live it is. I had to order it online and there was only one source. But boy, 1 bag of cat litter goes a long way when you're making these. So I throw that down in there. Now, I don't think you need an oxygen absorber, especially for these foods, but I'm not sure the seal is tight enough to really resist an oxygen absorber. And then this, is definitely light enough for me to carry. The next time I ordered, I accidentally got bigger than this. And so that one actually has 6 latches. There's 2 on each side, which you can see that one's undone right now because I've been working, and 1 on the end. And if we have something like cereal or crackers, that's fine. This doesn't get too heavy. If you had, a more dense food in here, that would actually get quite heavy. And then another time I decided I wanted some flatter ones, and so these are also big. So I've got 6 on each, and 2 of these will not fit side by side on the shelf. Okay, 2 of these will not fit side by side on the shelf. 2 of these do fit side by side on the shelf. So I'm going to try to stick to ordering 2 of these. I knew this is going to be too heavy if I fill it up with canned meat. So that's why I went out and bought these today. I don't really need a weather tight seal for canned food. It's in my basement. It is temperature controlled. It's heated in the winter, air conditioned in the summer, even though it's pretty much the same temperature all year round and it's cold. But these are not as tall. You can see my hand, that's as tall as it is. So I'm going to transfer the canned meat into these sizes so I can comfortably carry it. These red ones were actually on 75% clearance after Christmas because it was their Christmas stuff. So I got great deals on these. But that right there, what's in there, is just about all I want to carry up the stairs and out to the car. I could handle a little bit more, especially once I get in better shape. But that's really enough to carry in one load. So I'm going to switch them over to this other container and get it on the shelf. and then I'll tell you about these. Okay, I got those switched over, and there's actually a little bit more room for some tuna or some small Vienna sausage cans or things like that. So I can go ahead and fill that up and I'll still be able to handle it. So these totes, I actually ordered special because I wanted to be able to put my home canned quart-sized jars in there. Now this all happens to be canned meat as well. And then I put a separator with cardboard in there, put in some filler for now. I'll probably use it for food storage space, use whatever little things might tuck down in there to help them keep them from sliding around. The extra tall lid allows for the quart-sized jars. To prove my point on the quart-sized jars, this one is not big enough. It stops, and I would have to bend the lid down to get it to fold. And if that was full of quart-sized jars, then it definitely wouldn't work. But I don't need these to be airtight either, even though it would not be actually that hard to add weather stripping here if you needed to. The ones that need to be airtight are the ones for crackers, cake mixes, things like that. I have spices in this one. This is actually a Ziploc brand, and it is actually considerably smaller, but it really fits better on the shelf. Actually, 4 of these would fit on one shelf. So I might even get some more of these. The one experience I have with wanting things to be airtight and watertight is, and even if you're not storing food, if you're storing, you know, your Christmas decorations, if you're storing baby clothes that you might want to one day make into a quilt, if you're storing, you know, your grandmother's quilt that she made for you, anything like that. I did live through a house fire. Well, I wasn't home. I didn't live through the house fire. But when my son was about a year old, we lost our house to fire. And the majority of the damage was done by smoke and water. Now, there were some things that I lost to the flames that, you know, I couldn't have done anything about. But we had a lot of stuff stored in the basement in cardboard boxes, and they were just done. You know, photo albums were useless. I got a hold of a couple of them, and you tore so many of the photographs trying to get them out of the boxes because they had gotten wet. And I actually had a savings bond, and I turned it in, and they replaced it for me because they could tell it had been damaged in a fire. But these, they won't hold up to flames, but they will hold up to smoke and water. And the clothes and blankets and things that we had and we wanted to keep because they were important to us for whatever reason, specifically quilts that my grandmother made for myself and my son, we had to wash them over and over and over again in a very harsh chemical to even begin to touch the amount of the soot that was on them. And it got a lot of it out, but you can still tell it's been through something, and to get the smell out. And then plastics, any kind of kitchen utensil plastics or anything, didn't matter that they hadn't been damaged at all. They had been in the house with smoke, and they absorbed all the smoke smell. So that was toxic, and we had to throw it out. So if you have something really important to you in here, this can be the sacrificial lamb. You can throw it out, and hopefully it'll protect what's inside of it from the smoke and the water. So that's not about prepping, but life. And I do have 5 pounds of sugar, or a 5-gallon bucket full of sugar and flour in one of these. It's actually time to crack one of these open and start using the stuff that's in it. These lids, I guess they're easier to get off. Now that one I didn't have tightened down too hard. If you really crank them down, they can be hard to get off. Oh, here's my sugar one. So maybe it's easier than, you know, prying it off with a screwdriver. Yeah, I got it. But it's not simple if you really crank it down. So maybe just make sure you do it tight enough to get a seal, but not tight enough to lock yourself out of it. So anyway, I hope that gives you a good idea for prepping, and you might not want to do that. You might just have all your stuff on a shelf. I've seen some really impressive prepper pantries where they just have shelves and shelves and shelves of canned goods, a lot of it home canned goods and supplies and things like that, and it's all just open, which I'm sure they are bugging in. They have nowhere else to go if they need to leave. But my preference is to bug in, but I'm definitely moving at some point, and it is possible that I could find this area in an uninhabitable at some point and just need to throw stuff into the vehicles quickly and get out. So this helps. Okay, that's it for today. It's actually going to be a short video. I have some work to do down here, and then I have to hit the computer upstairs because that's the work that I put off the worst. I hope I gave you some ideas today and gave you some food for thought for thinking about how to store your supplies so that they are easily bug-outable if you do have to, for some reason, leave. And even if I were just going to go stay with a relative because they needed me, this way I can easily grab a few boxes full of stuff and take it down there. No matter how you store your food, no matter what you prep, don't forget to smile, because a rainy day is no match for a sunny disposition. Bye guys, I'll see you on the next one.